Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Today's episode is from a live training that I did about the solar plexus and what exactly your solar plexus has to do with how your body is detoxing. When I say solar plexus, I'm talking about your solar plexus center, your chakra, whichever word resonates with you. And really, this all comes down to how you are feeling and dealing with your emotions. So I'm going to talk about this center. I'm going to talk through both the defined and undefined center as it shows up in your human design chart, and how this affects how your body's detoxing from excess hormones, heavy metals, and other toxins that are related to imbalanced hormones, inflammation, anxiety, low energy, trouble sleeping, and how we can bring this back to alignment. So whether you're into the energy work or not, there is a lot of evidence of how the energy works in your energy centers in these parts of the body that are correlated with specific glands and organs in the body that emit hormones. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, and I'll say this in the training, the right balance of yin and yang in the body, the balance in the body starts with the endocrine system. And so that's really what this is rooted in, what this is based in. So make sure if you have your human design chart, you take a look and just to know, just familiarize yourself with whether it's defined or undefined. Either way, this is going to be really insightful and help you be able to detox better. Let's jump in. All right, let's talk about how you're, quote, too sensitive could be related to why you have crazy hormones, anxiety, digestive issues, physical things going on in the body related to that. And when I say, I'm using air quotes here, if you can't see me, you're too sensitive, meaning you've been told before you're emotional, you're an empath, you're too sensitive, and what that has to do with these physical things happening on your body related to hormones, perhaps things like anxiety and digestive issues. So if you have ever been told that you're too sensitive, you're just too emotional, you make everything a big deal with your emotions, or you've been told that, or you've felt that in your life, chances are that you have an undefined solar plexus center, undefined emotional center in your human design chart. And this means this is the center that's associated with your emotions. I'm going to use those words interchangeably. So solar plexus, emotional center, to me, it's all one and the same. And so if you have an open or an undefined center, undefined meaning it's not filled in. So if you look at your chart, it's a little triangle that's going to be on the right side. I don't know if I'm mirroring you or not. So it's on the right side. And that is your solar plexus center. So you're going to see if it's colored in, if it's filled in, then it's defined. If it's not colored in, it's not filled in, then it's undefined. And so if you have this center open, this means that the energy here is less constant. It's more fluid. You are here to feel all the feels, and you really amplify the emotions of other people, meaning that you feel things that other people feel, but you feel them like tenfold. And so if you have been labeled as an emotional person, or you've just felt like, why am I so freaking emotional, right? Typically that means, and this is not saying people with a defined emotional center can't be that way, but means you have an undefined emotional center. So the thing here with the undefined center, it typically means you either feel all of the things or you feel none of the things. Like you have this ability to be able to shut things off emotionally and kind of turn things off. So it depends on just kind of conditioning your life experience and, how that happens. But when you do this, you have a tendency to shut things off emotionally. Maybe you avoid confrontation, maybe you avoid difficult conversations, difficult situations. All of this can lead to a lot of mental anxiety, a lot of dysfunction in the body, right? When we're shutting these things down and avoiding these kind of things. So the thing that I love to talk about when I talk about this center, because this is your emotional center, I talk about the center a lot, whether you have it defined or undefined. It's still the function of it is the same, and the function of it being your emotional center. The emotional center is attached to a lot, is tied to a lot of your detox organs in the body. So it's affecting how your body is detoxing. And this is why I love talking about this, and why I love the connection here. So that means that when you are repressing, bypassing, halting, stuffing down emotions and, shutting things off emotionally. I love to use the term emotionally constipated because it just resonates on so many different levels. But when you're doing this, you are literally halting these emotions from moving through the body, and your body cannot detox. You're affecting your body's ability to detox. So this means that hormones and toxins are all recirculating back in the body, and you literally cannot get rid of these. So this means can cause things like irregular periods, painful periods, mood swings, weight gain, inflammation, digestive issues, anxiety, mood issues, like all these things because you're recirculating toxins in the body. So you are literally holding on to these emotions as toxins in the body. And now I said this in the last live that I did, the last little live workshop I did, but whether are buying into all the human design stuff that I talk about or not, the fact is that when you have an emotional experience, this is a chemical reaction in the body. Your body has this biochemical reaction when you're having an emotional experience. When you feel emotions, it triggers certain hormones and neurotransmitters in the body. And there's just all these chemical reactions going on in the body. And so when we're halting that, when we stop it from happening, from fully releasing and completing that emotional process, we are literally holding on to that halting that process and holding these things as chemicals, toxins in the body. So bypassing, stepping down emotions, halting emotions, repressing emotions, and again, whether you have an undefined center or not, this is gonna, but I think people with an undefined center just have a more tendency to do these things. So here's the thing. You might see this as a curse, right? Especially in our Western world where we have a really long way to go in terms of understanding human emotions and how to live with the fact, like recognize the fact that we as humans do, in fact, have emotions that are meant to be felt and are meant to be like actually felt and processed, right? So, well, of course, there are challenges to this. I'm not going to say there's not challenges to this. This can actually be one of your greatest gifts. And I really do believe that those of us, and I say us because I have an undefined emotional center, that have this center undefined, are really here to shift the collective's relationship with their emotions. Being open emotionally, meaning, you have this center open, undefined, not open, but undefined. You're able to empathize with other people. You're able to feel their emotions, right? These are like classic empaths, have this center undefined, right? And a lot of times I find that people I talk with, people I work with, like you've been using this as kind of a sixth sense your whole life without even knowing it because you've been able to access information about other people. You've been able to like just know about a situation, just know things, use air quotes, just know things about other people and like the inner lives of other people, family members, friends, coworkers, whatever, that they've never told you. Like you don't have this information, you just know things. You've picked up on their emotions and their emotional waves. Like you're able to read the emotional waves of other people really well. On the other hand, you've probably spent a lot of your time, a lot of your life processing emotions that didn't belong to you. They weren't yours to process, but you picked up on those. And that's kind of one of the challenges with this open emotional center is that we are taking on the emotions of other people. So while this energy for us here isn't constant. It's open, which means we're open to the conditioning and taking on emotions of other people. So, if your spouse or your partner has a bad day, you feel it as if it were your own, right? If your kid is frustrated and yells at you, you just feels like somebody's just stabbing you, like energetically stabbing you, right? Watching the news can be too heavy. Watching a sad movie, like this affects you in a deep, deep way. These are all telltale signs, telltale characteristics of someone with an open emotional center. And so when we're looking at kind of, I don't want to say unhealthy way because that's not a great way, but when we're kind of out of balance in this center and you have the center undefined, It's basically you just like riding everyone else's emotional wave. So you're like up and down, up and down, up and down with the emotions of other people, identifying with their emotions and making them your own. Again, even though they're not yours to take. And this can lead you to feel like your emotions are out of control or something's wrong with you. A lot of times this can lead you to making emotional decisions because you're riding those emotional waves of other people. And then again, like I said before, it's repressing things, avoiding confrontation, avoiding hard conversation, um being the person who, is the people pleaser. You don't want to rock the boat. You want to just be the good girl. You're just always nice. And I find a lot of times that people like this can also often lead this kind of like secret life to protect yourself from the backlash. Like you don't want to have to feel other people's emotions projecting on you in these situations. These are all characteristics of this or this undefined center, and this is all affecting how your body is detoxing. Like we are literally taking in and we're feeling like we're allowing ourselves. It's kind of like breaking this barrier, right? This penetrable barrier, because it can penetrate, right? It's being able to discern and put up the wall to make it impenetrable, but it's this penetrable barrier that we're allowing other people's stuff to filter into our bodies. And you are literally feeling these emotions like they're your own. And it's, again, like I said, it's amplified. You feel them tenfold. So if you think about, I've already got my own emotions, right? From my own human experience. Like I've got emotions. And then I'm taking on other people's emotions. Like, what do you think's going to happen to the body? It's like toxic overload, right? With just so many emotional things going on in the body. And because the center is tied to so many of your detox organs, it is literally affecting how your body is detoxing. And so I find so often with the solar plexus center, and when people are kind of out of alignment, or they've spent their life being the people pleaser, being the good girl, being the girl who doesn't want to rock the boat and be confrontational and have hard conversations and represses, their emotions, that kind of thing, especially if you have an undefined throat center. That's a conversation for another day. That there's so many things going on with how your body's detoxing, and it's showing up as, a lot of times, I'd say most of the time for women, it's hormonal imbalances because our liver can't filter out the excess hormones. Our liver is connected, right? So solar plexus is connected to the detox organs like the liver, pancreas, part of the gallbladder, things like that. And your body literally can't filter out those excess hormones and the excess chemicals, toxins, heavy metals, and it's affecting your hormones in a deep way. And a lot of times just causing overall inflammation. And so as someone, again, might sound, this is all like doom and gloom. It's not. I'm gonna tell you how to navigate this. But the first thing I want to say is, when you have an undefined emotional center, solar plexus, you have a responsibility to identify someone else's emotional wave, like, and identify it as theirs and not as yours, rather than playing the victim and just getting on the ride with them. Like, let them take their own ride, and you can just kind of be the cautious observer, and being able to kind of remove yourself from the chaos of their emotional wave. And this is hard. This is hard. I'm not going to say that this is an easy thing to do, especially when you're an empath, because you feel it. Like, I feel what the other person is feeling. And I know I can say this from experience, especially when it's someone close to you, right? Like a partner, a spouse, a kid. Like, you feel so deeply, but it's your responsibility to take yourself out of being the victim, playing the victim card, and stepping out of that emotional wave with them. And I really think that's where the superpower lies in those of us who have this center undefined. Like I was saying, like using it as our superpower is being able to help people who are on, their own emotional wave, like help them navigate it, like being able to witness it and honor it and help them navigate it. So I know that navigating all of this yourself can be tricky, and it really can feel heavy sometimes, but it really can be used as a gift when you are able to sort through and learn what's yours and what's someone else's, and allow your sensitivity and your openness to guide other people in theirs, right? And this could be in the form of having those difficult conversations, having those confrontational conversations, openly sharing your feelings and emotions without repressing them. There's a lot of other things. And this is the thing with repressing emotions and avoiding hard conversations, is other things build up too, like other emotions build up. Resentment and bitterness can also build up in the body, and this affects other parts of the body. It affects other energy centers of the body. Like it's just kind of this cascade, this snowball effect of when we're repressing and holding on to things and not having those difficult conversations. So it's openly sharing your emotions and your feelings. It's setting boundaries. That's the other part, especially when you have this center emotion, you have an open, undefined emotional center, solar plexus. It's setting boundaries, and that's going to be crucial for you. And when you're around people that are heavy, and in terms of emotions, like just an emotionally heavy situation, like knowing when to remove yourself from that, knowing when it's you have people in your life are like those energy vampires that just throw all their crap at you and want you to help you sort through their stuff, and you have to set boundaries with those people. And then the other thing too, spending time alone can be really supportive for you and kind of keeping your energy center clear and allowing you to have that alone time and that space to sort through what's yours and what's someone else's, right? That's really what it looks like. Because when you're able to get in balance with this center, this looks like being able to be empathetic. There's a difference between being empathetic and just taking on everybody else's crap. And I think, a lot of times I feel like people can read that, like people who are good at like reading other people's energy can read, like if you're an empath and you're like naturally this open emotional person, then people want to dump their crap on you because they're like, well, they can handle it, but it's a lot for somebody to take. So there's a difference between being empathetic and taking on other people's stuff. So I think there's like a learning process of understanding where to set the boundary, right? And being able to be empathetic, but not taking on everybody else's emotions. And then being able to move in and out of other people's emotional ways without identifying them, right? And again, that comes from that discernment, that awareness of understanding like what's mine and what's somebody else's in terms of emotions. And that's where that like alone time and the quiet time and that space is going to be really helpful for you to be able to sort through what is mine and what somebody else's. Knowing when to walk away, right? Knowing when it's the right time to confront and have difficult conversations, when it's the right time to walk away and set those boundaries, being comfortable, being able to speak your truth in terms of sharing your emotions from a place of like strength and stability rather than reactivity. So you're sharing those from a place of like, I feel safe and comfortable sharing these rather than like I'm reacting to it, right? This comes with a lot of awareness. There's a lot of awareness that has to happen here. But again, you're here as an open emotional center. You're here to be the objective observer of the emotions of other people and the emotion environment around you. Like you're here to observe it objectively and then kind of sort through. And it's when we have those like cloudy, fuzzy boundaries, it's when we avoid confrontation, avoid the hard conversations, that this really does start to build up in the body physically. And I can tell you from experience working with, dozens and dozens of women at this point, that the women that I've worked with who have dealt with like really like stagnant liver, like liver sluggishness, detox issues where it's like, they're not detoxing heavy metals or they have the estrogen dominance because their estrogen isn't being filtered out, right? All of this, we can go back and we do sessions together. So many things come up with like the people pleaser and I don't like confrontation and right. It's all of these things coming up. They're so related. It's so connected. So I want to leave that one there with the undefined center because I also don't want to leave out the defined center because it's not just the undefined center that affects, because like I said, whether you have this center defined or undefined, it is still connected to your detox organs. So it's still going to affect how your detox organs are functioning. I do think that there is a heightened sensitivity for people who have this center open emotionally. And I will say, if you're listening to this and you have no idea if your center is undefined or defined, get your human design chart and look at it and look at the little triangle that's on the right and just look and see. And then this will make more sense for you. So if you have it defined, because I don't want to leave these people out, think that you don't matter too, and your emotions don't matter too, because they do. So with a defined emotional center, you have kind of a different set of challenges. The challenges look a little bit different. So if you have this center defined, you are here to kind of create your own emotional wave. Whereas remember, if it's undefined, you're here to basically ride everyone else's emotional wave. But the people with emotional center defined, which is more than half the population. So, I think it's like 60%. So about 40% of us are riding everybody else's emotional wave. So we really have to learn to discern our emotions among, sorting out everybody else's. But when you have the center defined, you are here to really create your own emotional wave, and you're always somewhere along that emotional wave. So
this can lead a lot of times, I find people with this center defined can lead to a lot of uncertainty about your emotions and how to navigate them because you're always on some spectrum of that emotional wave. And so being able to, here's the thing, if you have the center defined, I want to say this, if you have the center defined, this means that your authority is emotional. You are an emotional authority by default. If you have it defined, you are an emotional authority. And I feel like this is where the different set of challenges comes along because when you're an emotional authority, and the majority of people on the planet are emotional authority. It's the most common authority in human design. When you have this center defined and you're an emotional authority, this means that you are here to ride the emotional wave before making a decision. So your clarity, when you're making a decision, your clarity comes with time, meaning like you're not going to have the answer and in the moment, like right away. It's just not going to happen. And so many times, so much resistance comes up with people who have an emotional authority because they want the answer now. Like I want it, I want to know it, I want to know it now. It just doesn't happen that way. And I think there's also this piece of like understanding that with other people. Like for me, for example, I am a sacral authority, which means my clarity is like in the moment now. It's either a heck yes or it's a heck no. If it's not a clear yes, then it's a no. Like that's how I make decisions. So for me, I can get impatient with people. I'm like, why don't you know a decision? Just make it now. Like it should be easy. But that's not how everyone makes decisions, especially knowing that the majority of the population is an emotional authority and they are meant to ride that emotional wave before they get the clarity to make the decision. And so the challenge I find that the biggest challenge with the defined center is allowing that to happen in your body. Rather than making those emotional decisions in the moment and allowing yourself to ride the wave and get there with clarity. We make decisions, we make those rash decisions in the moment, or emotional decisions in the moment. It's going to end up causing a lot of resistance. And not to say I'm not really a firm believer that there's quote unquote wrong decisions, but a lot of times it just means you're going to take the long way around to get to the right thing, right? The thing that's right for you. And this can cause a lot of resistance in the body, a lot of physical things, right, happen in the body when we're not honoring that decision making process for ourselves. The other piece of that is when you're an emotional center, when you're emotional authority, when it's the center is defined, your clarity is never going to be 100%. Like your clarity, whether it's a yes or a no when you're making a decision, is going to be 80%, like 80% yes or no. And so I find a lot of times the other challenge for people with this defined center is you're waiting for that like 100%, like I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is it. And it just doesn't happen that way. And again, it's just a lot to do with how our emotions work, right? You're riding that emotional wave and it's never going to be 100%. And it's being okay with making the decision, knowing that I'm 80% sure this is the right decision for me because I rode the emotional wave, I got to the other side, and now I'm making the decision. And so I think that this is the big piece for Define Center is not being impulsive with your decision making. I think that leads to a lot of regret and resentment and bitterness within your body, right? Like I said before, this causes a whole slew of things. A bitterness is something that's going to affect your gallbladder, which is another part of the body that's going to affect how your body's detoxing, right? So, you know, kind of reining in that impulsiveness that we feel because I think a lot of times people can be impulsive. They have this inner defined, they can be impulsive. And just because they don't have the patience to ride that emotional wave. Because here's the thing with the emotional wave, there's no like set time when you're going to have the clarity. It's not like, oh, I gave it an hour and I still don't know. It could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, right? There's no point where you're like, oh, now this is when you have to be able to ride that emotional wave. And when I say the emotional wave, I mean get to an emotionally neutral place when you're making your decision, right? Taking the emotions out of it, getting yourself and not mentaling your way through it too, because I know there's a point too where you're like, no, I'm neutral. Like getting to a place where in your body, in your body, not just your mind, but your body, you feel emotionally neutral to make the decision. That's going to be the way for you to kind of avoid those impulsive decisions and then the regret and the bitterness, or, again, taking the hard way around to get to the thing that's right for you. The other thing too that can be a challenge is kind of jumping in and out of experience and decisions based on whether you're at the high or the low end of your emotional wave, kind of sending your body into just kind of chaos, just sending your body into chaos. So people a lot of times with this defined center that they seek the emotional highs and lows just to feel something rather than letting themselves get out of that emotional wave and making decisions, doing things from an emotionally neutral place, right? And this is really can be really damaging to your solar plexus too. Again, going back to the detox part, I've seen this time and time again, how it affects how your body's detoxing. The other thing too, I didn't mention this before with the detox organs. Your pancreas, it's not exactly a detox organ, but your pancreas is also, and when you're looking at just like the chakra system, pancreas is linked to your solar plexus, and your pancreas is responsible for insulin, right? Your blood sugar. So it's affecting your blood sugar. So if you think about this too, this is the other way I think about it. When you think about it from this perspective of thinking about the chakras, and you're all over the place emotionally, if you're speaking specifically about people with this center defined, you're like being impulsive with your decisions, you're kind of in and out of experiencing decisions, you're seeking the emotional highs and lows, all of those things. This is a lot for your body to, I mean, your body's just like woo, 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 all over the place, right? And so you think about how that's affecting your body too, in terms of like physiologically, your blood sugar is all over the place. So now your cortisol is all over the place because your cortisol and your blood sugar go together. When one goes up, the other goes up. One goes down, the other comes down. So now, like, there's so many stressful things going on in your body in terms of like blood sugar, cortisol, all of that. And all of that is just from this being like up and down and right. So when we learn to manage and honor our emotional centers, we can really shift the way that your body is physiologically functioning and how your body is detoxing all the things. So, recapping with the undefined center, right? It's being able to discern what's mine, what somebody else's in terms of emotions, like knowing how to set the boundaries, how to be empathic without being like taking on everybody's crap. When you are like understanding that there's a time and place to have those difficult conversations and confrontation, and avoiding these things again is just suppressing, it's just repressing feelings, and it's causing a lot of buildup in the body. When the center is defined, it's the challenge for you is navigating how to ride that emotional wave to make decisions. So you're not being impulsive with the decisions, like waiting for that clarity to come over time, so that this is going to allow so much more ease and flow and peace in the body when we are making decisions in this way. And if you have this center undefined, like you're not an emotional center, but there's still value in not making emotional decisions, right? And getting to an emotionally neutral place to make decisions. But the authority thing is a conversation for another day. But I think that that's the big piece here for the defined centers is understanding how you make decisions, how you best wait for the answers to come to you. And I think it's important. I think when you're able to honor this part of you, this, and I'm talking about the defined center right now, you are able to really be in touch with how you feel without being impulsive, right? You take your time to make decisions. You are waiting for the answer, but without getting up into the head center, because that's the other challenge I want to point out here too, is a lot of times when we're waiting for clarity and then we just bring it up into the head and then we're just like totally mental about it. And remember if you watched or listened to my last workshop or last training I did, I told you that there's no such thing as a mental authority. Like none of us are here to make decisions from the mind, none of us. And so when we bring it up into the head, this is where we kind of start doubting ourselves, right? So it's being able to wait for that clarity in the body and not trying to like logic your way through it and like logic your way through the other side of the wave. It's just writing it out. Like it's kind of the whole, like I have this conversation with clients a lot, being comfortable in the void, which I know is a really hard place to be. And it's a really scary place to be because you're like in the in-between. It's really scary being in the in-between, but it's feeling safe in your nervous system, feeling safe in your body, being kind of in the in-between, waiting for that sense of clarity. And then understand that how your emotions affect other people and kind of holding back that pressure to be pushy with help other people making decisions, how other people are doing things. Because when you have that center defined, your emotions are affecting other people, but that's just how it works when you have the center defined. So I hope this is helpful. And all in all, being able to navigate whether you have the center defined or undefined is affecting how your body's detoxing, how your hormones are functioning, how your body's getting rid of junk, right? Toxins, heavy metals, all of these things. Because the HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis, is a test I do with basically everybody, even if they don't want to do any other tests, we do that one, right? And I've done so many of these, and looking at these and being able to talk with my clients on, their past trauma, their past, emotional experiences, their overall human experience, right? There is such a connection, correlation with what's showing up on their HTMA in terms of like, there's toxic elements, there's heavy metals. It's able to show like how your body's detoxing things and this part and managing their emotions, feeling their emotions rather than pushing them down, repressing, suppressing, shutting them off, right? There's such a connection there. So I think the challenge for all of us and the task for all of us, whether you have this center defined or undefined, is training your body to be safe feeling all the things and allowing yourself to go there without attaching the stories and the meaning to the emotions. Again, you don't have to reason, you don't have to analyze your emotions, you don't have to figure out where they came from or why they're there. It doesn't matter why they're there. Honestly, it really doesn't. It's really just about feeling them. I did a whole podcast episode about this, maybe at the beginning of the year, about like how we try to like psychoanalyze ourselves, and that doesn't help the situation at all. Because really and truly, the emotions that are there, doesn't matter why they're there because they need to be felt. There's something that needs your attention. And so when we're able to get to the point where we can create that safety in our body and our nervous system to feel all the things, that's when we allow this free flow of energy in the solar plexus. We allow this free flow of energy through all these organs that are associated, that are helping our body with the detox process. And so again, it's all about feeling. Like, you've heard that adage, and I've said it in my content before, like feeling, you got to feel to heal. Like that's exactly what it is. Like you have to feel to heal. And I think we miss this piece so often when we're looking at, healing, quote, healing our bodies, is feeling it. And I know it's hard to go there sometimes, and that's why we avoid it. It's hard. We often don't want to go there, but we have to be able to feel the things to heal the things. And the fact is that when we're constantly in this state of heightened emotions, or like, again, if the center is undefined and you're just taking on everyone else's emotions on top of your own, the fact is that when emotions are high, clarity and intelligence are low. So we don't make the best decisions for ourselves when we're running in this heightened emotional state, and just like literally running off like chemicals. You're running off these, and that's really what happens. I mean, we get addicted to these chemicals, these chemical reactions in the body of these high, like you've had people in your life that thrive off drama, right? These people. These people exist in your life. They exist in all of our lives. They love the drama. They have to be a part of the drama. They want to share the drama. They want to talk about the drama. Everything in their life is drama. They create the drama, right? These people like get high on these chemicals. It's exactly what it is. They are addicted to this chemical process that's happening in the body that's just evoking these emotions. It's like a dopamine hit to them, right? These emotions give them this like, they thrive off the emotions. And I mean, I think a lot of society, that's what happens. It's why people like looking at train wrecks and car accidents and like terrible things on the news, right? It's this hit. It's this chemical reaction in the brain. So when we can recognize it's all going to go back to just having this awareness. And we can recognize when we are taking on these things, these emotions, when we're recognizing that we're in this heightened emotional state, like prolonged heightened emotional state. Because here's the thing, it's not about not feeling things. That's the opposite, right? There's like this happy medium that has to happen, because we don't want to shove things away and not feel the things, but we also don't want to stay in this heightened emotional state. The fact is, I said this in the podcast episode I did earlier this year about emotions. You can go back. There's a whole series. I think there's 4 or 5 of them in this series. But I talked about this, that scientifically, physiologically in the body, the emotional response, like the things that happen physiologically in the body after an emotional response reaction, only lasts 90 seconds. Anything that happens after that, you are doing to yourself. You're perpetuating a story. You're attaching a story and a meaning to that emotional experience. And that's what's replaying. It's not the actual event. So that, like, we are wired that way to be able to get through emotional experiences. And it's like, okay, the emotions, when you've allowed yourself to feel them and release them, they're gone. Anything that happens after that is a choice. It's a story, it's a meaning you've attached to the thing that happened. And so when we're in a prolonged, heightened emotional state, this is a choice, right? This is a choice. Now, it's a lot of times a subconscious one, and like you're trying to do it. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people are trying to stay in the drama, but a lot of times this is a subconscious thing, right? And we have to be able to recognize this and bring ourselves back down. And a lot of times it goes back to these pieces I'm talking about. It's feeling, it's going back to kind of that root emotion that cause all these stories to attach themselves that are replaying in your head to keep those emotions perpetuating that emotional response in the body. So can we go back to that and give that emotion some attention and allow yourself to go through that emotional process, to feel all the things and allow that emotional process to complete itself and to release from the body, to allow ourselves to detach from those stories and the meaning we've given that situation that happened. So I really think that this is such a crucial part of the healing process. And I talk about this center, the solar plexus, so often for the exact reason I started this workshop, this training about talking about it's attached, connected to so many of our detox organs. And that is everything. Like your detox systems, your detox and drainage pathways, like that's everything for your physical health. Like if your body isn't detoxing, your detox and drainage pathways aren't working optimally, then we got problems, right? There's so many things that's the what's going to end up causing. It's the root cause of so many things that happen, right? The inflammation in the body that's going to cause the things, the anxiety, the mental disorders, the digestive issues, the autoimmune issues, chronic disease, right? It's toxicity in the body. And so there is an awareness that has to happen for us to see when we're in these states. And again, it goes back to the awareness. I know I say this all the time, and I've said it so many times in this one, but the awareness is huge. We have to become aware when we are in a chronic state of like heightened emotions, and understanding and learning ways to bring us down from that. And again, this is a process. And I feel like this is a conversation for another day, like getting into all of the process about what that looks like. But a lot of times too, it's taking the time for those mindfulness practices, right? It's getting quiet with yourself. It's taking space to be with yourself, with your thoughts, with your breath, and being able to detach yourself from that. And that's all it is. There's a rewiring and a reprogram that sometimes has to happen because our brain is like so addicted to staying stuck to the story because that's what feels safe. That's the other thing is when we are in this state chronically, your body, your nervous system wants what is safe. What is safe or what is comfortable? What is comfortable is what is safe. And we're in these chronic states of heightened emotions and we're there for forever and we're like addicted to these chemical reactions that are happening around it. That's what's comfortable, right? Your nervous system is now comfortable with that, and so it wants to keep you there. So there's a rewiring that has to happen a lot of times to let go of this, let go of the stories, let go of this like the addiction to the chemical process, all of that. So there's a rewiring that has to happen as well. So I leave you with this. That was a lot. I leave you with this. Being mindful of your own emotions, especially here, say this, well, if you have the center defined, being aware of your emotions and how you're pushing your emotions on other people. We have an undefined center, being aware of when you're taking on emotions of other people. Are you riding other people's emotional waves? Can you get off the roller coaster, off the ride, and go back inward to you, right? Can you challenge yourself to feel all the feels and not stop yourself from feeling all the feels, whether it feels scary to go there or not? Can you allow yourself to move through that entire emotional wave, the entire emotional process without stopping it? And can you, for those with the undefined center, can you set those boundaries, those important boundaries to protect your sensitive aura and your sensitive undefined solar plexus? Can you have those difficult confrontational conversations from an emotionally neutral place to be able to speak your emotions so we're not repressing, right, and suppressing things? Can you navigate how to hold space for other people's emotions and be empathetic without taking those on yourself, right? That's the challenge. And that's the gift. It's the gift and the challenge to it. It is, because once we learn that, how to hold space, like there's so much power. And I'll say this too, there's so much power in being able to navigate your emotions and being able to hold space for other people's emotions. And I think that if we have more empowered, emotional, I'm using air quotes, emotional or quote, sensitive people, sensitive humans, when we can empower those people, the better our world's going to become, because we can help other people navigate their own emotional waves. Like we can look at things more objectively and help other people navigate their own emotions. This is powerful stuff. So I hope this was helpful for you and understanding how this all relates. And do some journaling work, do some inner work in yourself, and kind of figure out kind of where you are on the spectrum in terms of whether you're defined or undefined, where you are on the spectrum in terms of being in alignment with this center, or if you're feeling like I'm kind of out of alignment here, I've been doing all these other things. So take some space and think about it. And the more we can learn these things and learn how to navigate these emotional pieces, really the better your physical body. It's all about just getting that free flow of energy flowing through the body when we're in alignment in these centers. And your body, the way your body's detoxing and eliminating is just, it's going to improve. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's at @thehopepedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.